Respected sir, I am Tejash from CSCD. Today I will present my analysis of India's petroleum trade data from 2014 to 23. I used the dataset named Trade and Sector Data and performed this analysis in Tableau. I will explain how I approached each question, what steps I took in Tableau, the types of visualization I used, and insights I gained. Here in the sheet 1 I have done first question. Here, what is the overall trend of oil imports and exports from 2014 to 23? Here, I analyze the overall trend of oil imports and exports in India from 2014 to 23. I filtered the dataset that product to separate imports and exports, the aggregated crude oil import volumes and refined petroleum exports volume by year. To visualize this trend clearly, I used a line chart which helps show how these volumes changed year by year, which I am showing here. The results show a steady increase in both imports and exports from the year 2014 to 2023. It's increasing like this. Crude oil imports grew from 200 million tons in 2014 to 15 to 300 million tons in 2022 to 23. Refined petroleum exports also rose from 150 to 250 million tons in the same period, with a dip in 2020-21 during COVID from 2020 to 21. And next question is, in which year did India import the highest volume of crude oil? Here I identify the year in which India imported the highest volume. I filtered the data for crude oils imports and summed the volumes by year. To compare volumes by year, I used a bar chart which makes it easy to spot the highest value. The peak year was 2022 to 2023. That volume is 1060. With this indicates rise energy demand in recent years. And from 2014 to 2022, it's increasing the volume of the crude oil. Here I have used the descending order from to get 14 to year 14 to 2022. And the next question is third one. How did the COVID-19 pandemic affect petroleum trade? I calculated year and year changes in import and export volumes focusing on 2021. A line chart was again suitable here, as it effectively highlights the dip during COVID and subsequent recovery from the year 2020 to 2021, showing the clear disruption caused by the pandemic. This is the graph line chart which I have got. And the next question is fourth one. Which petroleum products saw the largest export growth post 2020? Here I have done that export volumes by product offer 2020 to find saw the largest growth using a bar chart helped compare growth across products. Here it's a refined petroleum exports increased in the most, rising from 180 million tons in 2021 to 250 million tons in 2022, reflecting increased refining capacity and demand. And next question is fifth one. What are the top 5 countries India imports oil from? Here I aggregated import volumes by country and sorted them. Here filtered trade by trade type, export and country set. I used bar chart to clearly compare volumes by country. And here from 2014 to 15, from 2014 to 2023, it's showing like some years it was increasing and somewhat it was decreasing. And finally from 2020-22 to 2023, it's showing highest among all these. And the next question is sixth one. How does the value of oil exports compare to imports each year? Here the early import and export values in USD and calculated the trade balance. A bar chart helped visualize this monetary comparison. India runs a persistent trade deficit in petroleum as import values exceed exports each year, although the deficit narrowed somewhat post-COVID. And this is the bar chart here. It's showing from 2014 to 2022 up to 2023. And the next question is 7th one. What is the seasonal pattern of oil imports? Since the dataset only contains yearly data, so I have given the yearly from 2014 to 15 and the 2022 to 23. In 2014, it's like a volume in between 300 to 400, and by comparing these, in some years it was increasing, in some years it was decreasing. Finally, for 2022 to 23, it's showing that in between 1000 and 1100, like 1060. And this is the bar chart I get. And the next question is 8th one. Which sector consumes the highest quantity of imported petroleum? Here, using sector consumption data from 2022 to 23, I identified which sectors consumes the most petroleum. A bar chart shows the volume consumed by each sector clearly, and here transport, and next one is residential, and the power generation and industry, which matches expected petroleum use patterns. And the next question is 9th one. Has India's dependencies on oil imports increased or decreased? Here I calculated the import volume share as a percentage of total petroleum trade volume yearly wise from 2014 to 2023. Here a bar chart helped to see if the share is increasing or decreasing over time from the overall years from starting to ending. The import share increased over the years, indicating India's growing dependency on imported crude oil. And this is a bar chart which I get from the year 2014 to 2023. And the next question is 10th one. What is the share of crude versus refined petroleum in total trade? Here I calculated the share of crude oil versus refined petroleum in total trade and some others. I used pie chart to show the proportion of each product type clearly. Crude oil makes up approximately 50% of imports, 49.55, approximately 50%, while refined petroleum accounts for most exports, highlighting India's role as a major crude importer and refined product as exporter, and refined petroleum as a 39.1, nearly 40%. This concludes my analysis of India's petroleum trade using the trade and sector data CSV file in Tableau. I have explained my approach, the visualizations used, and the insights gained for each question. Thank you, sir, for your attention.